In Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 24, Kawaki said he doesn't really care about love when Jura asked him about it. But this is not completely true. Kawaki says one thing, but his actions show the opposite. In this video, I'll show you the actions Kawaki has taken that prove he's capable of love. In fact, Kawaki does have people he cares about, even though he says he doesn't care about love. First, let's look at Kawaki's reaction when you're speaking with Jura. Jura told Kawaki that some time ago he went to Konoha looking for Naruto and was shocked to hear that Naruto had passed away. But when Jura looked into Kawaki's sincere eyes, he became convinced that Naruto is actually alive. Kawaki's expressions showed clear anger and irritation, which gave Jura confirmation that Naruto is still alive. Jura then told Kawaki that he wants to devour Naruto. Hearing this made Kawaki's anger and irritation grow even stronger. Now ask yourself this question: would Kawaki get so angry and irritated by Jura threatening to devour Naruto if he truly didn't care about love and didn't care deeply for Naruto? Kawaki's reaction is the same as someone would show if their loved ones was being threatened. Jura went on to say that he had heard Naruto shared a deep bond with many of the Biju, and maybe love was the reason behind that bond. Because of this, Jura wanted to devour Naruto in the hope that he might learn about love. This pushed Kawaki over the edge. He lost control of himself from the anger and irritation and even turned his right hand into a claw, trying to strike Jura, even though he was far weaker than Jura. When Kawaki shouted, "Damn you," the anger and irritation were clear, especially with the 3 exclamation marks. The fact that Kawaki then told Jura that he doesn't really care about love actually shows the opposite, that he does care. If he truly didn't, he would not have needed to say those words, nor would he have reacted so strongly when Jura said he wanted to devour Naruto. Finally, another thing that confirmed to Jura that Kawaki loves Naruto was when Kawaki saw that Jura will die by his hand. He even gave Jura credit for his instance in choosing Naruto as his target, while making it clear he will kill him for it. Kawaki showed that he truly loves and cares for Himawari when Jura came to Konoha to devour Naruto, but ended up realizing that his real target was Kurama, who now shares one body and soul with Himawari. At first, Kawaki didn't know who Jura's target was. He attacked Jura simply because Jura had attacked Konoha, but Jura was far too strong for him. With just a 1-2 punch combo, Jura sent Kawaki flying until he crashed into a water tank and passed out. From this short fight, Kawaki realized just how much stronger Jura was compared to him. When Kawaki eventually woke up, he didn't bother to chase after Jura and Hidari. This was because he didn't really care about the damage they would cause to Konoha. Instead, he went after Boruto. But even then, Boruto showed him that he was far stronger than Kawaki at that time. Despite this, Kawaki was still willing to fight Boruto, even though Boruto was not an enemy of Konoha. Well, he had ignored Jura, who was an actual threat to Konoha. Kawaki's priorities changed completely once he realized that Jura's true target was Himawari. The moment he heard this, his facial expression changed to one of concern. Then that concern turned into anger and irritation as he told Shikamaru that if Himawari's life was in danger, Shikamaru should have said so straight away. Kawaki even insulted Shikamaru, the Hokage, by calling him a bastard. Immediately after this, Kawaki flew off to find Himawari and tried to protect her from Jura. Now, if Kawaki didn't care about love or didn't care deeply for Himawari, he would never have shown these verbal and non-verbal reactions, nor would he have been so angry with Shikamaru for not telling him the truth at once. As Kawaki was flying towards the location where Jura and Himawari were, he was still furious. Delta even asked him if he could calm down and listen to her without getting angry. She reminded him that Jura had already beaten him badly and questioned what the point of going there was. But instead of worrying about his own safety, Kawaki's love for Himawari pushed him to risk everything. He said that he cannot not go to protect her and would do whatever he could, even though he didn't have the power to properly defend himself against Jura. Fortunately, Boruto managed to fly past both Kawaki and Delta, even though they had the head start. Boruto arrived in time to save Himawari from Jura. He used the flying Raijin jutsu to teleport both himself and Himawari far away to Sarada's location. There he also used his blade to cut through the wood-style jutsu that Hidari was using to try to devour Sarada, saving both Himawari and Sarada in the process. Kawaki has shown many times that he cares deeply about Boruto, starting all the way back in Boruto Naruto Next Generations. After Ishiki was defeated, Kawaki was able to empathize with Boruto about the struggles of the Kama Seal. Right after that battle, Momoshiki managed to take over Boruto's body and stab Sasuke's Rinnegan from a blind spot. Kawaki was even willing to sacrifice himself to save Boruto from Momoshiki after Sasuke explained that Boruto had lost consciousness because he had used too much chakra, which directly triggered Momoshiki's takeover. To help Boruto regain control of his body, Boruto's chakra needed to be restored. This is why Kawaki decided to sacrifice himself. Before doing so, he remembered a conversation with Boruto where Boruto told him that it was not just about karma and that Kawaki was too important to him to ignore. Boruto even called Kawaki his brother. This meant a lot to Kawaki. Before meeting the Uzumaki family, he had only ever experienced neglect and emotional and physical abuse, and he had never been given love. That all changed when he lived with the Uzumaki family, especially because Boruto treated him like a real brother. Because of this bond, Kawaki set himself on fire with the fire-style jutsu. He knew Momoshiki needed him alive to offer to return Tails, so Momoshiki could not allow him to die. This forced Momoshiki to observe Kawaki's flames through the Kama Seal, which gave Boruto the chakra he needed to regain control over his body. When Boruto came back to himself, he apologized to Kawaki for the trouble he had caused. Kawaki then showed that he fully accepted Boruto as his brother by apologizing back and even calling him stupid bro. What Momoshiki did while controlling Boruto traumatized Boruto deeply, especially because Sasuke, whose Rinnegan had been stabbed, was not only his master, but also someone he cared about deeply. Later, when Boruto tried to use his Kama Seal to open a space-time portal to Konoha, he could not do it. Kawaki noticed Boruto was stiff with fear about Momoshiki taking over again and advised him to relax. Boruto then opened up about how terrified he was, admitting he could not guarantee that Momoshiki would not take over his body again. Kawaki responded by reminding Boruto that thanks to him and everyone else, his own Kama Seal with Ishiki's soul was gone for good. Kawaki admitted that he had lived only to get rid of it, but he could not have done it alone. He told Boruto it was the same for him. He was not going to solve it on his own, so Kawaki advised him to stop carrying the burden by himself. But Boruto replied that it was easy for Kawaki to say, but Kawaki saw he would help him get rid of the Kama Seal. This was when Boruto realized that Kawaki truly empathized with him and had opened his heart to him. Kawaki reminded Boruto of their promise to support each other and said that even though his own karma was gone, he would not stop until Boruto's Kama Seal also was gone. Kawaki confessed how much he hated the Kama Seal, saying he had suffered with it for years. He hated it from the bottom of his heart and would not rest until all Kama Seals were erased, no matter who had them. Boruto agreed, saying he also hated the Kama Seal and wanted it gone no matter the cost. For Kawaki, this hatred of karma and the Otsutsuki, combined with his love for Boruto, created a painful conflict. On one hand, he saw Boruto as his brother and cared for him deeply. On the other hand, he also saw Boruto as Momoshiki's vessel, someone who could bring massive destruction and trauma to Boruto himself, Naruto, and everyone else. Kawaki came to see killing Boruto, himself, the divine trees, and anything connected to Otsutsuki as the only way to end all the suffering. This is why in the time skip, Kawaki asked Boruto if things were finally settled with Momoshiki when they met again. After their first fight in the time skip, Kawaki reminded Boruto that he still could not control his karma. This shows that even though Kawaki wants to kill Boruto, he still cares about him despite his harsh methods coming from a childhood where he never learned how to accept or give love. Boruto opened up to Kawaki and explained that about 2 years earlier, when he and Sasuke fought code together, he had used his karma seal for the first time since leaving the village. At that moment, Boruto felt the same feeling he got whenever Momoshiki possessed him. Kawaki's expression showed deep concern and curiosity as Boruto explained. Boruto described the feeling as losing himself, like he was dying while still conscious and aware. Since then, Boruto admitted he had not used karma at all. Kawaki's questions showed how worried he was, asking Boruto what caused this and why it happened. Boruto said he didn't know, but Momoshiki had been quiet for the past 3 years. Still, Boruto believed that activating karma might cause Momoshiki to return. Kawaki reacted with clear worry and frustration, saying damn it, and realizing Boruto's situation had only gotten worse. This may explain why Kawaki is obsessed with wanting to kill Boruto, the Otsutsuki, the divine trees, and even himself. He wants to free Boruto from the suffering of being Momoshiki's vessel and stop the destruction the Otsutsuki could cause. It's not that Kawaki doesn't love Boruto. He does. He just believes that sacrificing his brother might be the only way to protect him and the world. So even though Kawaki says he doesn't care about love, he actually has his own way of showing it, though sometimes he can be destructive to the very people he cares about and has opened his heart to. Because of the harsh abuse he suffered during his childhood, Kawaki never learned how to accept or express love in a healthy way. Instead, he shows love through sacrifice, through anger when the people he cares about are threatened, and even through extreme choices like being willing to kill Boruto in order to protect him.